Maybe sometimes you find yourself replaying Resident Evil 2, and I wouldn't even blame you, the game is great, both the original and the remake. In fact, recently the original got released on modern systems, so I'll highly encourage you to play it because it's so good. But if you're smart and observant like myself, you'll notice that the Raccoon City Police Department was actually really incompetent. Because look at it from this point, it is quite possibly the most heavily fortified police station in the whole US in the Resident Evil universe. And I am not even joking, like every goddamn door is locked for some reason. But they are not just locked. You need to have like a PhD to open them because they're all locked behind unnecessarily complicated mechanisms. And if they aren't locked behind unnecessarily complicated mechanisms, if they're just locked with a key, then the key itself is locked behind an unnecessarily complicated mechanism. I mean, imagine working there and one day, one morning, you had like a huge McDonald's breakfast like a true American, and by lunchtime you need to take the fattest, nastiest shit the world has ever had the misfortune to witness. But you can't get to the bathroom because you're locked inside your office. You need to move 2 goddamn statues to get out, and by the time you get it done, your uniform is already drowning in like liquid shit. Or let's say you need like a medallion to open a door. You need like 3 medallions to open the door. And it would make sense to, you know, keep them in a safe place, somewhere together, somewhere where, you know, if they're needed, they can be found. But instead, they're kept in random places. And you can make the argument that the RPD used to be an art museum in the past. And you would be right, but this argument makes no sense. Because once the museum was turned into a police station, a better job should have been done to actually make it a functioning police station. In a large capacity, this was because the chief of the RPD was Brian Irons, who we know from Resident Evil 2. We also know he was completely insane. And it turns out he has always been kinda weird, as he claimed that all of the art around the museum could even help with the investigations. What? Do not get me wrong, I'm all for places being nicely decorated, but this simply makes no sense. Let's take a look at Leon's first day in the RPD. What was his first day actually supposed to look like? Right upon arriving, he was to solve a puzzle. He wouldn't even be able to get to his desk without solving this puzzle. And the excuse for this was so Leon will remember the names of his co-workers. But no, it was actually so he can navigate the place properly. This was just a fraction of what Leon would have to go through on daily basis. On top of that, why is the place so dark? I mean, obviously an outbreak is happening, but outside of like the broken lamps that are presumably broken by the lickers, just hallways and rooms that are unnecessarily dark. There are no lights around. Look at this room, for example. This room serves no purpose. This looks like a storage room where they store all the stuff that they didn't need after the place was turned from an art museum to a police station. But the RPD was founded in 1969. They had enough time to get rid of the stuff properly and not to store it in the police station. You can't even say this stuff was used for decoration, because it was in a room where nothing else was. No one would ever go to this room just to, you know, work or do anything. And why is there a glass roof here? I guess in that case it lets natural light inside, but that only works during the day and not during the night. So some actual light, like some actual lamps or whatever, would come in handy in here. But this room is by far not the only one. Like as I mentioned before, the hallways or the place in general is just really dark. Could it be budget reasons? As we know, the RPD in general was built on like a very cheap budget, but because there was the whole funding from Umbrella, I think the RPD could afford just 1 or 2 more light sources. You know what the funniest thing about all of this is? Leon missed his first day because he overslept. But if I like clocked in and the first thing I saw was all the darkness and puzzles, I gotta say I would go back to sleep. And quite frankly, this is not just the problem of the police station. Why would you possibly leave a note like this in the sewer puzzle. And it's not just the place itself, it's also the employees of the RPD. Because Brian Irons was in the past accused of sexual assault in college, but because he studied dark psychology since he was 7, he was able to manipulate his way out of it. But how on God's green earth did none of the, and mind you, these were like police officers, they were supposed to have like formal training and everything. How did nobody get red flags from this dark mango manipulator?
Oh, I'm terribly sorry. I thought you were another one of those zombies. And just who are you? No, don't bother telling me. It makes no difference. You'll end up just like all the others.
I'll tell you how. It's because every single employee of the RPD was a moron. They were all stupid. And that includes Leon, that includes also the STARS members. That even includes Wesker, who was like an insider from Umbrella, because he's really stupid, he's really dumb. Because Leon is a dumbass. And do not even try to claim that he's canonically a genius, because Ada said so in separate ways.
Practically a genius. He has smarts and he knows how to use them.
Do you really think I'm gonna fall for that?
This is not how a genius acts. Also, think about it this way. Throughout the game, you find a lot of notes, a lot of documents, a lot of reports. But most of those are in regards to the Umbrella thing, you know, the outbreak and all of that. There's not a single file about like an average crime in Raccoon City. And even like the Umbrella files, like the, you know, the stuff that you find in the game, it's mostly just surface level observations, things you could notice when you just live in Raccoon City. And given all of what I just been through, and the fact that Brian Irons, you know, he literally was committing like crimes with Umbrella inside the police station, this all led me to the conclusion that zero crimes, genuinely zero crimes, are solved in Raccoon City. These guys solved less crimes than Batista and Quinn in Dexter. The reports and documents are just one thing, but the notes themselves, I mean, these guys were in like a very life and death situation. And in a situation like that, why would you possibly take your time to write a letter? But on the other hand, I understand it. I guess keeping a journal, document everything that's happening, would later help with the investigation. But that's provided that an actual investigation would happen after, because we all know that it would not. In conclusion today, Raccoon City Police Department didn't fall because of the outbreak. It fell because it was doomed to fail from the beginning. With a psychopath as its head, and the design of the place in general, and the incompetent employees, Raccoon City must have genuinely been a hell to live in. Anyway, this was just a short meditation about what happened in Raccoon City. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like if you enjoyed. And even if you didn't enjoy, leave a like and subscribe anyway, because, oh, why not? Help a guy out. And hopefully I will see you next time.